Hey, what the hell's going on, guys? It is Super Negative AE, and welcome back to another episode of Higurashi When They Cry. I apologize for not uploading this as consistently as I used to. There's just been a lot of stuff going on in my life this past couple months with the new job, and then me being sick, and then I don't see my mom very often, so I was hanging out with her for a while. There's just a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I promise you, I'm not forgetting about YouTube. It's just a little bit slower this time of year, and I hope you'll forgive me. Last we left off, I believe I was suspecting that I was Tomitaki's son. I thought I was Tomitaki's son. No one told me otherwise, so it makes me think maybe that's the case. We also just met baby Rika, and I did see the picture. Someone sent me a picture. I think it was Nagels in the Discord. And I did see that, and I was looking at the younger Rika, and so this is younger Rika, obviously. She doesn't look like this in the HD thing. Anyway, I should stop talking. We should just get into it. I think she's saying meep right now. Yes, she is. All right, let's continue. Meep. Like that character on the show with the puppets? The orange hair? Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised that that's the reference. I thought it was just one of those greetings kids do. So in order to prove I wasn't a suspicious person, I responded in kind.
Me. Me.
The girl stared at me with dubiously, with a Dalek expression, cute, but cold and hard to read. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. There was, after all, an unfamiliar man right in front of her when she woke up who responded with meep when she said the same. Suspicious. She definitely thought I was suspicious.
Me?
You can tell that there's a different face. There's gonna be a different face that Rika has. She's gonna get those evil eyes like they've done with everybody else. Surprisingly, in Satoko's story, it wasn't the evil eyes. It was her being distressed and then her yelling at you face. We were both at a loss for words, but I have a feeling that Rika's also gonna get a face change in her story as well. The girl in front of me, as if inquiring about my motives, stared at me intently. In silence, I felt like I was the one who had to say something first. Damn it. This girl was way better at interrogating somebody than Oishi.
怪しいものじゃない。私は。ニパ。
What I could only have described as a cold expression suddenly blossomed into a smile, one that soon infected me. You might be familiar with the term angelic smile. To me, it was the phrase that was created just to describe the smile she gave me. The girl smiling while saying Nipa probably wanted me to return the favor in kind. That's right. This was a kid's form of communication. Having the other person emulate what you just did was a rudimentary form of mutual understanding. Is that how that works?
Nipa.
It was a beautiful afternoon in early summer. What was I doing?
Nipa.
Oh, whatever. This was interesting in its own way. If I was making somebody happy with just a smile, if making somebody happy with just a smile was the work of angels, then this girl was definitely one of them. I couldn't help but pray that my own child, who would soon to be born, would grow up to be like this girl. That strangely gentle moment was finally brought to an end by the arrival of a car. An older person waved at me from the driver's seat with a dry, plastered smile on their face.
どうも、こんなぞ。遅れて申し訳。昨日お電話くださった。
あ、はい。
お待たせして、野良でちょいと遅れましてね。したらと、お乗りくださいな。
So I think that we're finding that Tomitaki has made up this persona of being a sightseer and has his camera constantly on him because he's taking pictures. And the reason why he always returns is not because he is a photographer, but because he is investigating Hinamizawa every year or so. And the reason why he can't ever get any awards because he's not. The excuse before was that he God, why can't I think of that he wasn't very good. But now I know the actual excuse is that he's just a detective under a different name.
ですか。
ああ、ここいらは。まあ、夕立になるかも。こうなったら、ほんと写真。ほら、乗って乗って。
Turning around, the girl was standing right behind me with an intrigued expression. Her body language somehow reminded me of a stray cat that followed you around after you played with it. A little, so charming. Girl named Rika with an immaculate smile and an old man praising her while rubbing prayer beads in his hands. It was a rather mysterious sight to behold. Are you going to work, Makino? It's not exactly work per se. I was asked by the maid to show around a youngin' who came to the village for sightseeing. The girl, Rika-chan, said that with a smile as she clung onto my arm.
この村の自然がとても貴重だと聞いたんで、ぜひカメラに収めたいと思ったんだよ。
That's funny. So am I gonna go through the whole game as Tomitaki-san? Because that would be fucking crazy.
私はこう見えても、とっても写真撮影が好きでね。
富田家2号なのです。
富田家？
牧野、僕も一緒に行って。
そんな、レイカちゃまが来ても面白いことなんか何もないですよ。
I like how it's revealed that I'm Tomitaki pretty much right away. So that's cool. I called it. Granted, it was really obvious, so I don't know if I would call it a call. They were like, hey, look who looks exactly like Tomitaki-san coming with this camera. Look at my outfit. It looks like I'm a tourist. I couldn't if you could come along, Rika-chama, but there's nothing interesting to see. You should go play near a shrine or something. Neep. A distinctly displeased expression creeped across Rika-fan's face. Being able to show one's emotions honestly on their face was a privilege young children have.
もしお差し支えなければ、この子も連れて行ってあげてください。
When I said those helpful words, another smile spread across Rika-chan's face with another nipa as she clung to me again. Not bad at all. I want this girl to call me Papa. No. Father. Dad. Daddy? This is getting a little bit weird. What am I doing? Ever since I met this girl, I was completely off my game. Just calm down.
レイカちゃまはダメだ言うても聞かんしな。知ったらんと、己くだささ、レイカちゃまも。
The old man descended from the driver's seat and opened the sliding door of the van, which had Onagafuchi Alliance Town Council stenciled on the side. Rika-chan brushed me aside, dove into a seat, and began bouncing around right away. It seemed like she was thoroughly enjoying the bouncy springs. What the fuck? Girls are nice. Wonder if my child will play around like this too. No. It was written in that guide to raising a child that you shouldn't dote on them. Kids are kids. If you don't raise them strictly, without spoiling them. I am definitely going to be a terrible father. It was decided that I would be a doting parent before my child was even born.
お昼は食べましたかいね。
ええ、ホテルで軽食を。
そんですか。では参りましょうかね。
南沢観光に出発なのです。わーいなの
君はリカちゃんで
そうなのですよ。フルでリカと言いますです。もう繰り上がりの足し算とかもできますですよ。
ああ、それは
小指とかは折ってませんですよ。ちゃんと暗算でできますですよ。
The way she insisted upon that was just too cute. At some point, the nervousness I had about being alone in enemy territory had evaporated like it was never there at all. I had to be at least a little thankful that I met this girl.
じゃあ出発しましょうかいね。
I'm pretty sure that's like her power.
南沢大自然ウォッチング。
The old man stepped on the gas with a great deal of gusto. I was like, this music's good. What does this music sound like? Reminds me of like Mario or something? Like this could be a Paper Mario town? Doesn't it sound like a Paper Mario town? Has anybody played Paper Mario? Sounds like a Koopa town or something. I don't know. Hits me with Thousand Year Door vibes for some reason. A montage. Kind of cool. Is that a new background? I mean, I know they're all just pictures, but like visual novelified. I feel like all you really need for visual novels is just a drawing of a person and different emotions. The old man, who was apparently named Makino, is he the same Makino that was listed as the auditor of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance? Showed me around places that were all breathtaking. Even though I wasn't really here for sightseeing, I couldn't help but be impressed. First of all, this was different from the simple scenery of a city. The scenery of a charming village like this, no matter how mundane it seemed to the villagers, had a tranquil appeal to it. At first I was only releasing the shutter as part of my tourist act, but midway through I found myself taking pictures out of pure interest. Tourist traps had their own unique allure to them, but there was nothing like that here. I was especially captivated by the unspoiled nature of the place. If there wasn't that whole uproar over the dam, I wouldn't want to bring Yuki with me here I would want to bring Yuki here with me some other time. Yuki is totally fucking Takano-san. Oh my god.
そんなのが面白いのですか？
Oh my god, I'm Tomitaki-san.
赤坂は変な人なのです。
That's not good. Did I say my name was Akasaka?
いや、こういう円筒状の郵便ポストなんて今はとても貴重だよ。
How did she know my name?
どことなく漂うノスタルジックな雰囲気は
ひなみ沢は楽しいですか？
Can we go back? Are you gonna talk about that game?
楽しいよ。退院したらぜひ家内を連れてもう一度その時には生まれている子供も一緒にね。
Why are you giving her all the information to find out who you are? I know she's just a child. But isn't there a driver? Oh my goodness. I know his guard is down. It's just frustrating. It's like in horror movies when you don't want the person to do anything. Or you want them to like get out.
今は出産を控えて入院しているんだ。
See how she's just like, ooh.
予定日がもうすぐでね。
Fuck you, dude. Why would you reveal all this?
君みたいな可愛い女の子だといいんだけど。
お客さんはもうすぐおめでたですかいね。
No, now everybody knows who you are. Not only do they know your name is Akasaka because you responded to it, you revealed that you have a wife and a kid that's about to be born. The kid, I bet you 100% it's a miscarriage or something. I bet you 100% something happens to the kid, because the kid, I have no idea who the kid could be.
そんないけねえよ。奥さん放り出してこんなとこに遊びに来てちゃ。
I wonder why that is. Dude, watch him. I wonder why that is. I was momentarily at a loss for words. It's exactly how Makino said. There was no good reason for a man who was waiting for his wife to give birth to be playing around idly in this place. Did I slip up?
あ
Lies.
あ、ひなみ沢への旅行は前々からの予定だった妻の家族が付き添ってくれているから。
そんな年前からよ。マジかね。間に合わんとかいね。
Fucking, they are catching you at every fucking turn.
いや、そんだったらこんな窮屈な思いさせんと綺麗な観光バスで回れたのに。
It didn't seem as if Makino was actually digging for anything, but if this conversation continued any longer, it would put some unexpected holes in my cover. I halted the conversation by pretending to take another picture. Rika's gonna turn around and be like,
じゃあ最後の一番景色のいいとこさ案内しましょうかね。
here's my prediction. Rika's gonna turn around, she's gonna be like, Akasaka, I know what you're doing. Blah, blah, blah. Like, don't harm our city or I will kill you or some shit like that. Bet you. I don't know. These games don't get dark very early though, so it makes me skeptical that that'll happen actually. They like to these games like to give the first half what
一番景色のいいところです
Shut
か？
up. This is the best view. It seemed my exploration with Hinamizo was just about done. This is the best view.
リカちゃま、境内からの景色さを置いて他にはありませんやね。
Hearing that, Rika-chan smiled even more.
では赤坂を僕のお家へご招待なのです。
リカちゃんのお家って
神社ですよ。
Why the F did you tell her your name?
古で神社。高台にありましてね。
I would straight up have gone by a nickname or some shit.
景色さ見られるんですよ。
古出神社。
Oh my god. The girl who called the Furude Shrine her home, Rika. If I remembered correctly, her full name was Rika Furude. And Furude was, that's right, one of the three families. Even if the Sonozaki family is said to hold all the actual power, this is still one of the old houses that had some authority. More important than that right now was Furude Shrine. If I remember correctly, Oishi had told me, within the grounds of the Furude Shrine, there were the offices of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance. And since the land around the Furude Shrine were private property, the police couldn't set foot there heedlessly. Furude Shrine, where even Oishi couldn't simply set foot into. The main base of operations for the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance. I had been given the unexpected opportunity to enter there. I couldn't have asked for more.
楽しみです。ぜひお願いします。
じゃあ酒酒参りましょうかね。天気も少し怪しいですからな。
The sky had suddenly become overcast. It wouldn't be odd if it started raining soon. The cicada, as if trying to finish their daily allotment of chirps before evening, cried out even more fervently. Sometimes when I'm reading this game, I kind of read subconsciously, and then I have to recollect on what just happened. I feel like at this point, we've given them what we are, and that's why Tomitaki dies every time. It's cool. It's kind of cool. I'm not even reading. Also parked there were numerous other vans with loudspeakers mounted on them to act as makeshift propaganda vehicles. On the side of each vehicle was scrawled, "The dam project must be demolished. Defend our homeland to the last. No Oyashiro-sama's anger," or a slogan of a similar kind. It gave the feeling that even without the loudspeakers, there was enough to overwhelm any onlookers. Vertical banners were erected in various places. The contents of those banners were similar. They were all objections against the dam or crude insults towards the government. There were horizontal banners, place cards, and so on and so forth. They proclaimed that without a doubt this was the headquarters of the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance. Rika-chan, however, this hectic place was also her home.
着きましたのですよ。ただいまなのです。
Rika-chan crawled over my lap and exited the vehicle first. Makino had not noticed that I was looking at the protest banners.
神社
Or
は
had noticed.
ダム反対運動の事務所も兼ねてましてね。こんな風景もあんたらには反安保闘争みてえで懐かしいでしょ。
Student movements against government policies, movements that bordered on terrorist activity, were at one time commonplace, if only to garner global attention. Students holding out in lecture halls, brawling with riot squads that charged in. It was an age where wasting one's youth like that was widely considered a road to glory. It was slightly before my time.
私は別に普通に学び、普通に卒業しました。国の政策にあのような暴力や立てこもりで対抗しようというのには。
はあ。あんた、そんで
政策に意見したかったら、同じ意見の政治家に投票するか、自ら政治の世界に飛び、それが民主政治の、それに暴力で挑戦するなどあってはならないと思います。
For a youngin', you have some fine beliefs. Saw that feeling of respect reflected in Makino's gaze. At that moment, something tugged at my sleeve.
赤坂が何を言っているのか全然わからないのですよ。
Rika-chan, feeling like she was the only one who didn't understand the conversation, had a look of displeasure on her face. The expression was so charming that I had to keep myself from grinning like an idiot. It's often said that if a father wants to spoil his daughter rotten, I think I understood that feeling very well.
リカちゃんには難しい話だったね。日本は平和の暴力で訴えてはいけないということさ。
No matter how much I explained, a girl who was just boasting about being able to carry digits over when adding things probably wouldn't understand. It probably wasn't something to talk about in front of Rika-chan anyway.
では赤坂、
Oh, damn!
僕たちの村はどうやったらダムに沈まなくなるのですか？
Even if I regretted my careless words, it was too late now. That's serious Rika face that we have not gotten yet. Here I was at the main headquarters of an organization, telling them their way of doing things was illegal. Preaching that violence was not the answer. A complicated feeling had mixed itself in with the respect in Makino's gaze, and then it was then I finally realized it wasn't that simple. There wasn't a soul who would argue that what I was saying wasn't correct. Using violence to get one's way was something everybody knew you shouldn't be proud of. However, right now, Hinamizawa was in a predicament that couldn't be overcome with peaceful means alone. The legality of the Hinamizawa Dam project, through efforts of various propaganda campaigns enacted by the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance, was being called into question. If they further strengthened their campaign, they might be able to suspend or change construction plans. But that was at most just a possibility. If the government proceeded with the construction as planned, it wouldn't take long before this place was at the bottom of a lake. If it wasn't for the unrestrained resistance of the residents of Hinamizawa, this place might have already been underwater.
僕たちは都会では生きていけないのです。
The words of this remarkably young girl were all too accurate, carrying with them the screams of the hearts and minds of the residents of Hinamizawa. Of course, there was nothing I could say to respond to that. I could only respond to Makino and Rika-chan's heavy words with silence.
すみません。よそ者が気安く言えるような問題ではなかったですね。謝罪します。
Makino, unsure of how to reply for a while, could only laugh pointlessly.
お客人たちのようなよそに住んでる方々にはひなみざさ気に入ってくださったんなら、お客人のお友達みんなにそういうのが何十年何百年と広がっていけば、この村さダム底に沈めるなんてふざけた計画もやがてはついえるんですかね。
He followed it with a smile that said, "Please don't think much of it." Makino not letting me worry that much was really a stroke of good fortune. Becoming infatuated with the idea of making friends with a little girl had made me completely forget my apprehension of being in enemy territory. Being reminded of this right before I was going to step onto their headquarters might have been a good thing. We had this exchange in the middle of their office. If there was a short-tempered youth in there, they might have come at me. Thinking of how extreme they were, in the worst case, my life could have been in danger. It seemed that I looked quite despondent at that moment. Makino, thinking he had said something wrong, became flustered and tried to think of a way to improve my rune.
本当にすみませんでした。
そんなに。
今日案内してもらった村のあちこちはもう一度来たいと。そんな美しい村がダムの湖底に沈むことになれば、
I somehow
必死
managed
の
to
戦いに
use
なるのも
my despondent look to change the topic in my favor. After a bit, Makino had returned to his usual high spirits. It seemed like he believed I completely sympathized with his point of
そ
view.
うそう。そんな話はこれくらいにしましょう。
Let's leave the talk at that for now.
本当にとても景色さえいいところが。
行きましょうですよ、赤坂。
I feel like Akasaka messed up big time by telling him his name. Now they're gonna know that he works with Oishi. Now they're gonna know to kill him. Now they're gonna know that he has to die. Rika-chan, seemingly happy to be free with all the boring and gloomy adult talk, bounded up the stone steps. There was no real reason to run, but in order to catch up with her, I also darted up the steps. There were several tents belonging to the town council erected on the shrine grounds. Inside, the tents were several folding tables and chairs, and the number of older town council members were livening things up with chit-chat. They weren't saying anything incendiary, like the dam project must be destroyed. It was just some relaxed idle chit-chat between local geezers. The normal sort of calming scenery. At the entrance of a shed that looked like a meeting place, there was a large sign erected with Onagafuchi Defense Alliance headquarters written in bold brushstrokes. I kind of like this because we're back in time and we're kind of going over the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance stuff. I imagine we'll learn of why, because wasn't Shion, I hit my table. Wasn't Shion a like someone who was hit? Like they were hit through one of the protests. So I'm guessing we'll see something about that in this. It depends on how long they decide that they want to stick with this, with me being Tomitaki-san. I don't know. To be honest, it was a bit of a letdown. If you ask what I had been imagining, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'd have thought it would be something much more dramatic, with barbed wire, fences, and barricades. My first impression of the place, though, was completely different from that. It looked like a simple backwater town hall. It didn't look like anything other than exactly that. The folks who were chatting had noticed Rika-chan's presence.
リカちゃまじゃないの。もう子供はお家に帰る時間だよ。
ここは僕のお家なのですよ。
The old folks scoffed, since she wasn't wrong. From that exchange, I could tell that this Rika Furude girl was loved by everybody.
牧野さん、その人電話をくれた観光の人は。
そんですよ。こちら村長さんに、ひなめ沢の君吉村長さん。
Kimiyoshi, how are you? He smiled brightly, but there was no mistaking he would be scary if he got angry. By the looks of the things, this old man was the president of Onegafuchi Defense Alliance. None other than Kichichiro Kimiyoshi himself.
ようこそひなみ沢へ。
He should really have a sprite.
いかがでしたか。
I feel like he's like a main point.
静かでゆっくりしたところで。
今日一日美しい場所をいくつも堪能させていただきました。貴重な機会をお与えくださったことを感謝します。
へえ、今時の若い方なのに、また真摯な方だね。
喜一郎、赤坂に見晴らしのいいところを案内したいのですよ。
Oh, Akasaka, a new place. Thinking that formalities between myself and the mayor had gone on for too long, Rika-chan butted into the conversation. For her to call the mayor by his first name felt it was a little strange, but none of the villagers seemed to mind. Girl of the Furude household, one of the three families, she was probably different than the average villager.
赤坂、こっちなのですよ。
Rika-chan tugged at my sleeve. Not resisting, I allowed myself to be pulled over, and waiting for me was a magnificent view.
これは
It was an observation deck that looked down on the
す
village.
ごい。
They, knowing that this is the best view in the entire village, kept quiet as I stood there awestruck. I was holding a camera, but I had completely forgotten to even glance through a viewfinder. This view, no matter what kind of film it was printed on, wouldn't be able to show everything. If there was a way to explain it, it would only be what I would be able to put into words. It was just such a breathtakingly spectacular view that I struggled to find a comparison. For a while, I was left awestruck. I could only stand there and wonder. I wonder if you could Google Maps this place. Because these are like real pictures, right? I wonder if you could like Google Maps and like go up here and just kind of like be here on Google Maps. Like imagine getting Hinamizawa and like GeoGuessr or something. You guys play GeoGuessr? A cool breeze helped abate the heat rushing through my body. That comfortable sensation also left me speechless. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke. And just while I'm on the topic, I wonder if the people that live in Hinamizawa know that they live in Hinamizawa. This is like a town, right? It's like pictures that were taken off the internet. Is it all of the same town, or is it just different buildings? It's not like one place, it's just different buildings. And where are those buildings located? I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking. Rika-chan, who had been holding onto my sleeve the entire time, spoke.
僕の一番のお気に入りの場所なのですよ。
As she said that, she showed me another adorable smile. That smile seemed very fleeting. If you ask why, that was because the view from her favorite spot would eventually be submerged under the deep green waters of the dam
こ
reservoir.
んな村が湖底に沈むことになってるなんて。
Why would you say that? Yeah, you did. But it's not true.
沈みませんよ。ダム計画なんて必ずなくなっちゃいますのです。
It was just like a little girl to say something like that. There was no basis for her saying so. It was just her wish.
赤坂はこの村が沈んでしまうと思う。
沈んでほしくなんかないよ。
I knew how important the dam was. I knew that it was necessary. I just didn't want to recognize the sacrifices that would be made. I agreed with the project in general, but I couldn't agree with some of the details. But if it meant that this girl's beloved scenery wouldn't be taken away from her, I might be able to object the dam. I might be able to ignore the interests of the nation, the development of Japan, all for the sake of one girl's smile. I'm not really much of a humanist, but how sentimental of me.
沈みません。ダムの計画はもうすぐなくなりますですから。
Her words weren't just hopes and dreams, but were seasoned with a hint of resolve, as if she were talking about an unchangeably predetermined outcome. As surely as the sun rising in the
もう
east.
すぐなくなる。
Wanting to ask her why she believed that, I turned around.
はい、なくなりますのですよ。
どうしてそう言い切れるんだい？
それはなのです。
Seemed to want to answer, but as though she were unable to find the right words, she swallowed back what she was about to say.
赤坂がダム計画は今年で終わりにもう決まっていることなのですよ。
It was a lie. If something like that had already been decided, then the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance would have no reason to continue existing. From my point of view, it was like they were doing nothing more than throwing themselves into an endless battle. If they knew the damn project was cancelled, it would feel much more relaxed around here. This village, though, could hardly be called relaxed. For evidence of that, I just had to remember how charged the atmosphere was at the checkpoint or at the bus stop. The villagers, with their misplaced resolve, were still fighting. And this girl, even knowing villagers' grim resolve, had already declared their victory. The villagers throwing themselves into this endless war, and this optimistic girl who said they had already won. That contrast was somehow strange.
どうして何か確信があるなら私に教えてくれないかい？
Seemingly choosing what to say.
だって、
だって
It looked like she was lost on whether she should continue or not. As if she were troubled on whether it was okay for her to say it. That kind of
決ま
expression.
っていることなの。他
決まっているって言ったって。
It really is just like a little girl to say something like that. I couldn't believe it was actually true. She was the only one saying such things with confidence. My real mission, that I had forgotten about during this fun-filled day, resurfaced at the back of my mind. The kidnapping of the minister's grandson. Had the Onagafuchi Defense Alliance kidnapped the minister's grandson and had already succeeded in negotiating the cancellation of the dam project? Did Kimiyoshi actually already know that and was just playing dumb? Was that what this girl was really telling me?
赤坂、
Die. You're an agent, aren't you?
なんだい？
I know exactly who you are.
東京へ帰れ。
Yeah. I knew it was going to be something stupid like that. Like you were already dead. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't only surprised at that sudden command. Ever since I came to this village, I had never once mentioned I was from Tokyo. Yeah, or your fucking name. Based on my accent, she might have been able to guess where I was from. What was I getting so worked up over? It was probably the sudden and complete change in her demeanor.
あなたはさっさととでないとひどく後悔することになる。
The girl had been holding my sleeve the entire time. She had been tugging at my sleeve since hurriedly dragging me over to show me this wonderful view. But this was the adorable Rika-chan who had spent the entire day with. There was no way she could have been replaced with a doppelganger when I wasn't looking. She had been holding onto my sleeve this entire time, but somehow, this girl was someone other than Rika-chan. She looked like Rika-chan, but she wasn't. She was some girl I'd never met before. The girl had told me in an indifferent voice that I would eventually regret coming to this village from the bottom of my
そ
heart.
れがあまりにもみすぼらしくて今のうちから警告してあげているのです。
どうして私が後悔することになると？
You're gonna
いち
die.
いちうるさいな。
I'm waiting for die or leave. One of those. I couldn't believe that I was hearing such cold words from Rika-chan's mouth. I just couldn't believe it. Somebody impersonating her? Using her ventriloquism or something? Or using ventriloquism or something. Thinking that, I wanted to take a look around, but the girl's gaze had pinned me down, making me unable to
あ
move.
なたの親はあなたが赤信号の横断歩道の真ん中にいるとき どうして危ないのかを全部説明し終えるまであなたの手を引っ張らないの？引っ張るでしょ。まず歩道まで連れ戻してから。つまりはそういうこと。
The girl I had spent time with, Rika Furude, would not speak like that. She would speak with a cuteness befitting her age, and with brief childish remarks expressing her emotions honestly. She definitely wouldn't speak with such pointed
警
words.
告はした。勘違いしないでほしいのは、死んでもいい人に危険なんかを教える必要はないのだし。
It's not like I'm saying this because I hate you. You don't need to tell somebody who's better off dead that they're in danger.
君は誰だ？リカちゃんじゃ。
They gave her a cat face? Reminds me of the, what does that look like in, it's just kind of like a, That face reminds me of like, Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. As soon as I accused her of not being Rika-chan, she let out a strange, quiet giggle. It was a laugh not befitting of a child her age. It was like she was possessed by something. Her change was just that, total and complete. Was Rika-chan being attacked by some terrifying phenomena? That occult idea came to mind without any sort of hesitation. Rika-chan is acting strange. Somebody help. Thinking I'd yell that, I turned to where the mayor was. I immediately realized he was looking at us with a smile. That's right. To him, it looked like nothing more than me and Rika-chan fooling around. He didn't notice if there was something terrifying happening to her.
Akasaka no kowaga.
Noticing that and calling me a coward, she laughed again. That cackling girl approached me in a strange manner while still laughing, lost her balance, and fell flat on her face. Rika-chan fell down. It was just a while before I could have extended a hand to help her up without hesitation. But now, extending a hand to this ominous girl who looked like Rika-chan, but wasn't, required a bit more courage than I had at the moment.
Me.
The girl cried out thus. She then squirmed upright and dusted herself off. Afterwards, she looked around restlessly as a blank expression crept across her face.
Me.
Don't know if Rika-chan had heard me or not. She just cried out like that as if questioning herself.
塩大福もあるからにぜひ食ってきんさいな。
The old lady wearing a smock was waving energetically at the entrance of the office. Hearing that there were snacks, Rika-chan's expression changed.
わーいなのです。
Carefree smile. That was a familiar smile, the one that belonged to the embodiment of my ideal daughter. Any hint of the creepy girl that was just there, spouting sinister words, had vanished.
ほら、リカちゃま、手を洗ってきんさい。バッチおててにゃ食わせるまんじゅう。ちゃんと洗いますですよ。
Rika-chan responded with vigor, running off to the washing station that was alongside of the office. She stopped halfway, turning around to call me.
早く来ないから、僕は赤坂の分までおまんじゅうが食べられて。おててを洗わない人はおまんじゅうが食べられないのですよ。
No matter how you looked at it, that was Rika-chan. Those words and the way she said them, no matter how you heard them, they were definitely Rika-chan's.
ほんでお客人、大人なんだからお手本を示してやってくださいな。
The old lady urged me to wash my hands. Without any resistance, I lined up beside Rika-chan at the wash station. Splish splash. I stared at Rika-chan, intent on washing her hands properly, like she had probably learned at school.
間違っていますか？
間違い。
僕のお手手の洗い方です。金シールを4個しかもらったことないです。僕はお手手を洗うのがきっと下手なのですよ。
How do you get 4 gold stickers for washing your hair? What would you do wrong? How would you wash your hands wrong? Besides not using soap or water. I don't know if it would be...
間違ってなんかないよ。
I think I got it pretty fast when I was a kid. Like, it was just like, here, you put your hands in the water with the soap, and then you'd wash your hands. I don't know.
それだけしっかり洗えてれば十分だよ。
それだけではダメなのです。ちゃんとたわしを使って爪の間の赤も落とさないと金シールはもらえないのです。
Oh, you gotta use a fucking brush? Mm-mm. You just fucking clean...
リカちゃんは真面目で偉いな。
A brush to clean under your fingernails.
ピ
Stupid.
パー、赤坂に褒められましたのです。
Shouldn't we go back to Tokyo? Wasn't that the advice? I know from future games that he doesn't do that. Exactly what was that sinister
Rika-chan.
girl?
さっきのあれはさっきリカちゃんは私に東京へ
言いましたのですか？
Didn't remember what that girl just now had said. Like I would ever believe something as occult as that would happen. Like I would ever believe that Rika-chan could be possessed by that strange girl and say those creepy
リ
things.
カちゃんが確かにそう言ったよ。
Her expression told me that, despite my saying so, she had no idea. She wasn't playing dumb, she actually didn't know. Exactly what was that just? Just as Rika-chan had, I let a look of confusion creep across my face. The two of us, looking like we had no idea what was going on, must have certainly been a humorous sight to behold. While partaking in tea and snacks, I was shown a propaganda film shot by the Defense Alliance that highlighted their resistance efforts. Older folks talked passionately on how long and grueling the fight against the dam was, but they fell on deaf ears. I was transfixed by Rika-chan, who had heard those stories countless times before and was nodding off. Eventually, Rika-chan noticed I was staring at her and smiled as she rubbed her eyes. That smile was Rika-chan's after all. There was no hint of that sinister shadow. After that, my unreasonable fear of Rika-chan lessened with the passing of time, but I could by no means forget what had happened. It eventually grew dark. The mayor said that they had prepared dinner, but I said I would come again tomorrow and took my leave. I had to return to the hotel and file my regular report with the section chief.
そうです。では、また明日もお電話さくれればすぐに迎えを出しますんで。
ご好意感謝。ぜひ明日も遊びに来ようと思います。
ねえ、あんた、リカちゃまに大層気に入られたみたいだしね。
赤坂は明日も来ますですか？明日は5次元で終わりですから、3時くらいに来てくれると嬉しいのですよ。
Please come again. That pure smile urged me to do so. There wasn't a trace of that evil aura. Depending on what happened next, all that might end up as nothing more than my hallucination. Thinking about it logically, if the daughter of the Furude household, one of the three families, had taken a liking to me, then this was a strong foothold for my investigation from here on out. It was like a free ticket for a reason to visit Hinamizawa. If only I could treat that little incident as a figment of my imagination, then having this girl who was the embodiment of my real daughter grow so attached to me wasn't bad either. I had successfully dove into the belly of Onagafuchi Defense Alliance and had the mayor as well as other important members of the alliance welcome me with open arms. This was a great turn of events. However, I still felt uneasy. Getting back to the hotel, I forced down an almost painfully cold beer until I could clear my mind. The shock from that incomprehensibly strange incident continued to torment me. Is that it? It is it. So we are at the kind of the end here. Wow, 3 tips. Oh, I'm gonna have to remember to read those. We're gonna go ahead and end it here. About 50. I got an achievement that says the terrifying shrine girl. That's interesting. So everybody in the comments remind me to read those tips, because what I do is I'll like take a quick look at the old video whenever I go to record. So I'll read the comments and then I'll go back and look at the comments from the last video just to kind of refresh my memory of what's going on and what people are talking about. Because that'll kind of remind me what's going on in the episode. So please remind me to review the tips in the next episode. Um, the first thing I want to say is it seemed more like, and it highlighted at that time that it was very much like a possession thing. Um, so that opens the story up for just kind of a single entity kind of controlling everything. It seems like less and less, and I mean, I've said this before, and I said it almost at the very start that I think that there's demons, and there's been some wavering in my opinion, obviously throughout the months. It's been months since we started playing this, I believe. Um, I've been, although my opinion has changed from time to time, I am under the impression that there's demons. And when I originally thought that there was demons, I thought that there were multiple demons, and each of them were controlling maybe different things. It was kind of my fantasy that each girl had their own power, and like they could like they'd like work together to kill people because each of them could do something crazy, and that kind of like the final fight. This was my original theory back in the first game. It was like Rika probably softens people up. That's what she does. She gets people uneasy, you know. Satoko is a trap. She's a trap maker. She's really good at laying down traps for people. Um, uh, what's her name is in control of the town. Mion. She's in control of the town because her family rules everything, so she can kind of send people after you. She just has mob mentality shit going on. And then Rika-chan or not Rika-chan, freaking Rena was like this crazy psycho murder bitch who was like the brute. She was like the brute of the group. And I thought that they would go around murdering people because they didn't want the damn project to go through. It's more and more the case in my head that instead of that, maybe there's just one person. In the last one, there was like a demon world almost, that was like different than mine, and I might have gone crazy in that one, so I can't chalk it up necessarily as the truth. Um, but it seems like Satoko was relatively out of the loop. Like they didn't specify her as a demon, but they specified her as having the problem of seeing demons in people, so she like was aware, which was odd. So they didn't give her a demon personality, which I was fully expecting. It was kind of like she just went crazy from all the abuse, and she was trying to just stay. I don't know what she was trying to do. um but it seems like she's kind of out of the loop, and now I'm not sure where things are as far as go, because she never went crazy, but then I went crazy in that chapter. So it seems like people can just be possessed, but then I had a doppelganger. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be answered. I'm sure this arc is just going to present more questions, although it's answered some questions. It's also presenting more questions, which I think is what the other episode should have done, because it's good to get answers and like feel like accomplished. The other ones, it was just like question after question after question after question after like, why the fuck is this happening? And there was no answers coming. There was like pseudo answers that would then be immediately disproven by like something else that happened in the story. And so now I'm at this point where like, um, now I'm at this point where I'm like, the there's so many questions in this um, that I want answers, and they finally given me an answer, right? Like Tomitaki is this photographer who's not actually a photographer. He's an agent. And now it makes perfect sense why he died. It makes perfect sense who Takano is. I call it right now, and I know they haven't specifically came out and said it, but they made it pretty darn, like, I don't know if it's obvious or if it's or what, but Takano is the wife. At some point, Takano and Tomitaki, something happens to their kid, and they come to Hinamizawa. I bet you it's something like a fucking, like, and I said it before in this episode. I bet you it's a miscarriage. I bet you she has a miscarriage. She's crying. She's sad. She needs to get away. What better place to get away than Hinamizawa? You know, every so often, you know, she works at the nurse's office, and then obviously Tomitaki has to go and do his job, so he leaves town every year to go like do his job and stuff like that while she works in Hinamizawa, so that way whenever he comes over to investigate Hinamizawa, she's there. Oh my god. I don't know. Something along those lines might happen. I'm gonna stop talking before I go on for more than 6 minutes. I've been kind of going on for a while here. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. I know, like I said, the upload schedule has been very consistent, but I'm working on it, and hopefully, eventually, once I start getting days off on my job, because my job has been relatively busy because of the holiday season. Once I start getting more days off on my job, which I should be getting like 2 days a week now, I'll be able to like record and then have maybe finally put together a backlog of videos, so that way I can kind of just be on time all the time. So it'll be interesting moving forward with what's going on, and I appreciate you watching and liking and doing all that you do. So enough of that. Have a good rest of your day, and happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful day.